If you consider the world of dance as a vast, interconnected ecosystem, in this complex network, every dancer, from the eager novice to the most seasoned professional, plays a pivotal role. This is the ethos behind Creative Generations, a project I began with a close circle of longtime friends and accomplished dancers who truly want to give current and future generations of dancers a healthier, more informed, and supportive foundation for their training. By connecting aspiring dancers with these established professionals, we are fostering a nurturing environment where knowledge and passion for dance are cultivated, shared, and passed down, ensuring the art form flourishes for generations to come. Welcome to Creative Generations.
Hello, welcome back to Pirouettes and Perspectives. Today we're having a new guest for the second time. Hopefully this one turns out well. How you doing today, Dylan?
Doing good, doing well. How are y'all?
Doing good. How you doing, Joseph?
I'm doing good. I'm a little sleepy, but doing pretty good. We have a 3-day weekend here in America. I don't know. Do you guys have a 3-day weekend in Canada? No?
I have a 1-day weekend.
Oh, you have a 1-day weekend? Oh,
Yeah,
that's rough.
Because of the gala.
because of the performance last night. Yeah,
What did you do?
it was a mixed rep show, and it was in collaboration with the schools. So I was in Raymonda Act 3, but then the school did a piece, and then there's a couple of Patadas and one other group piece. So it was a good mix of stuff.
Yeah, nice. What did you get to do in Raymonda? You were just...
I was just Raymonda Act 3, so it was just the core stuff.
Nice. All right, well, let's get into this. So the first question is kind of what got you into dancing? How long ago was that? Once you got into dancing, what got you to Alberta Ballet?
Okay, yeah. So I started dancing when I was 14 years old. Started out doing tap because the idea was that doing some tap dancing and just other dancing would help my soccer playing as a goalie, help me with the footwork and all of that. And then I slowly just kind of moved away from soccer and started focusing more on dance. And then I did musical theater for a while, but then I decided that I really just liked the dancing part of it. So I just started doing dancing, and the teacher at the place I was doing musical theater wrote me into ballet classes. So I started doing that. And then I moved to a more classically focused school. Took classes there. That was about 1.5 years. And then I went to UNCSA with Emma. We got there in I was thinking about this the other day. We got there in 2020 because we graduated in 22.
No, yes, yeah, we did.
Okay, yeah. So we went there in 2020. It's only been 5 years, which is crazy since then.
We're old.
Oh, wow.
So I was there for 2 years, junior, senior year of high school, and then I came here for their post-grad program. Was here for 1 year. Then was away for half a year dancing in Spain, and then came back as a trainee here. And then this season, I'm now part of the company. So,
nice. Do you want to dive more into your time at UNCSA, kind of what that was like, the experience moving away, and just...
It was great, except for this one person. They were so annoying. Her name was Emma Wessel. I remember them just being...
Okay, just call me out, I guess.
Yeah. No. It was good. It was a really valuable experience. My sister had just moved away to college the year before I went to UNCSA. And so that year at home, when I was like, I'm really going to focus on dance, and it was also my first year without having without having a sibling at home, I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move out. So I enjoyed moving away and really being able to focus on just ballet, and all the teachers, they were really good and supportive, and helped me do that, hone in on what I wanted to. So, and I met some great people.
Oh man,
Made a lot
every
of
time
connections. Tons of
that's
fighting
true.
pickles around.
That is very true. You'll find a fighting pickle almost every website you go on to nowadays, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool.
There's one of the principal dancers here went to the high school program, and then one of our rehearsal directors as well went to UNCSA.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Rhodes was telling me about that yesterday, about how
Yeah.
he knows them because of UNCSA, which I
Yeah.
thought was pretty cool.
Wait, does he know Alex or Brian?
One of the rehearsal directors, whoever the
I
rehearsal
know
director
Brian.
is who he knows. Yeah.
Love Brian. Yeah.
And then you left UNCSA, you went to Alberta. What was it like leaving America for the first time? The culture shock, what was that all like?
It's not that different in Canada. It's just colder than it was in North Carolina and Texas. But yeah, I mean, it really wasn't too different moving to, especially Alberta, but it's nice. And there's like a few little things that you notice when you're just going about your daily life that are different than what it's like back in the States. So it's cool, but yeah, not too terribly different.
And then you also went to Spain for half of a semester.
Yeah, that one is more of a culture shock. But I really enjoyed getting to live there and like experience, and being in Madrid was such a fun experience, living in the city, getting to try all the different foods, and just exploring a new city, and not being like on vacation, being there with like a purpose other than to just like be there. Was really fun to like have a daily life and a daily schedule. Go to the Mercadona, which was the grocery chain that I went to mostly. Yeah, I miss a lot of the foods. It was really good.
Yeah. And then when you went back to Alberta, you were in the school, and then the next year you got promoted. What was the difference that you found with your overall body language, like what you were doing like in class, and then like your mindset? What was the difference between the student and the company?
I would say it's much more like focus on yourself. I much prefer being in the company than being back in the school. I'm glad I never have to be a student again. I enjoyed being a student while I was a student, and like that type of daily grind of going to your different classes and having a contemporary class, a technique class, a men's class, a partnering class. I enjoyed it while I was doing it, but now having left and being in a professional company, it's not something that I'm like, man, I miss being a student,
Yeah.
Because now it's all kind of mixed. It's like you take all those things you learned in the class and use them every day. Especially here, because we haven't been rehearsing one ballet at a time since like the first week of the season. Since then, we've been doing either 2, or even last week we were doing 3 ballets at one time.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just, you're in a rehearsal doing classical, and then you're in a different rehearsal doing more contemporary neoclassical. And like with Raymond Act 3, like for the guys, I was just mostly partnering. So you're using all that partnering that you've learned. And yeah, I love not having to wear a uniform. The thought of wearing tights, like feels like I don't like tights anymore. I wear them and it's fine, but I so much prefer wearing shorts. Also, like wearing my tights under my shoes. Like I haven't done that except for performances at all this year. And it's like little stuff like that. Like I feel the floor more and whatnot. And I feel like for whatever reason, I feel like if I'm in shorts, my leg will go 2 degrees higher than when I'm in tights. Just those little things. Yeah, the mindset's still pretty similar. I feel like of just like trying to get better each day and trying to like. I was talking to somebody about this recently. It's not always like you don't always get better each day, but each day that you dance, you still maintain like what you have. Because we just came back from break, like having 2 weeks off, and like those first 2 days back, you're like, oh my god, how if I ever do this? Like I can't do stuff I could do 2 weeks ago. So we were like, man, even though you're maybe not getting better each day you're in the studio, you're like keeping what you have, and each day you're not in the studio for an extended amount of time, you kind of like are losing that. But yeah, mindset's the same of just going in and trying to get better each day and doing the best that I can, being motivated.
Yeah. I'm curious, while you were in Spain, after leaving Alberta, did you ever think that you would be coming back to Alberta after that, or?
No, when I left Alberta, I was like, I'm gone. I'll see y'all never. But I'm very fortunate that I was able to come back.
Hmm.
And I think it's the best, like, it's definitely the best decision I ever made for my career, because it's how I've gotten to where I am now. Like, if I never came back, I wouldn't be dancing with the company.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, when I left, I was like, see ya. So yeah.
Nice. So I kind of want to go back to your musical theater side of like your
Why?
career.
Why would you want to do that?
I just
We
want to
try not
see
to think about that.
your fedora phase.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
But do you think that kind of like helped you with dance? I know you said that you liked the dance side, but having that acting side to it and like being able to really perform on stage is not like something we really are learned in our ballet tendu combinations. So do you think that helped you in any way?
Yeah, I definitely do. Because I did like acting for much of middle school because it was like one of the electives, and my sister did it, so I did it. I definitely think that like having those acting classes as like a kind of foundation, even though when you act in ballet, you don't really like act that much, but it's still kind of is under, like, it has undertones. I feel like that still helped me out now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that I benefited from having done.
It was all worth it, is what you're saying.
I mean, maybe some of it wasn't, but some of it definitely was.
So do you want to kind of talk about a day in the life? Either let's do UNCSA first. Let's kind of talk about your time at UNCSA, what your daily schedule was like, and then we can go into Alberta and what your daily schedule is like now.
Okay. Why don't you tell them about daily schedule at UNCSA?
Okay. It's now my interview now.
Yeah, no.
He's asking me questions.
Yeah, so for me, outside of junior year, because junior year, I have like zero memories of junior year. I
It
have
was
a
a fever
few,
dream, for sure.
but yeah, I feel like I kind of blacked out and woke up on the first day of senior year just because of COVID, and like we had like 3 academic classes a week,
Mm-hmm.
or 3 or 6, I don't remember. Like, it was not the regular load of
Yeah.
classes. But I remember having Miss Douglas junior year. Anyways, so for senior year, for like what a regular schedule at UNCSA is during not a global pandemic, I woke up, would go to the caf, get some breakfast, usually with Emma, And then I would go to my first class, and there's 2 class periods in the morning before any dance classes. So I only had one. So I would do French, and then I would have a break, and then I would go to ballet class. And we had like 2.5 hours of ballet, which usually means like some time for technique class and some time for like point men's class. But with Misha, that was just meant he had a 2.5 hour technique class, which can be a really long time. But when you spend most of it at bar, it can feel like forever, but it really does, like, he really does clean up your technique and push you to what he's trying to push you to where he's trying to get you. And him having 2.5 hours, he's gonna take as much time as he wants on any part of the class. So we do that, and then we'd have lunch. And then after lunch, we would go back to 2 or 3 more academic classes. I only had 2, but I only had 2. So then 2 academic classes, which is rough after having danced and then eating lunch. I often was kind of dozing in my first academic class. And then, not that the class was boring, I loved that class, Mr. Sabolchik in English. But after lunch and ballet, I was like kind of getting knocked out. And so after that, then we would have more dance. We'd have like another class, either like partnering or contemporary or something, and then we'd have rehearsals after that in the evenings. And you would usually have class rehearsal, dinner, more rehearsal. So it was a full day, but definitely a good day. And I appreciate the way that they intertwine the classes, even though it sometimes meant I was in English class in a dance bout, which was just like awful and something I wish I never had to go through. It was just kind of a fact of life. But yeah, so it's a really good schedule, and it's not for like you can't really be lazy in that schedule. And then you also have to go back and do homework and everything. So yeah, I think it's definitely good. And it's better than like, oh, you do your academic classes in the morning and then you have like 2.5 hours of dance, and then that's your boarding school experience. Like, it's intense and it trains people well. So that was UNCSA. Now at Alberta, we have company class at 9:30, and we'll do company class, and then we have 3 hours of rehearsal, and then an hour of lunch, and then 3 more hours of rehearsal. So that could be anything, any given day. Some days you might have just technique class and like 1 rehearsal, and then you get to go home. And then some days you're there 9:30 to 6:10 is when rehearsals end. And then you might stay for some physio or stay extra to work on your own stuff, like from rehearsals that day. So when you have a full day, it's definitely a full day, and you come home feeling exhausted, which for me, that's like what I hope to feel like after each day of work. I hate those days when I go home early and then I'm just kind of like, what can I do with myself now? Like, I go to the gym for longer or something, but much rather be at the studio all day than trying to find other stuff to do to make up for the time not in the studio. Yeah.
You kind of talked about how you feel exhausted after your day. What are some things that help you recover for the next day?
Just eating as much as I can. I've noticed, like, especially in the winter time, like, I have to have a vitamin C each night. Yeah, after a day when I come home and I'm exhausted, like, I feel like there's a gratifying part to that. Like I feel exhausted, but I'm like, I did something today, and like today I made progress. Whether that like not maybe personal progress, but like we made progress on the ballet we're doing, just that sort of thing. So the gratifying like feeling kind of helps like get me psyched up for the next day. But also just eating a lot of food, eating as much as I can, and then having a vitamin C or something just to make sure I don't like start to feel sick or anything. And then sleeping the right amount of time is always good. So. Oh, and Normatec boots. We have Normatec boots at the
Oh,
studios.
I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah. Our director bought those for us at the start of the season, and they definitely get used. I know we were looking. There's like Normatec arms and Normatec hips, so
they're
I want
intense.
those.
Oh,
Yeah, I
wow.
want to starfish out and be Normatec.
I just remember making PT appointments at UNCSA just so I can use their Normatec boots. I
Yeah.
didn't even want to, like, they would start giving me exercise to feel better. I was like, nope, put me in the
No,
boots
I'm
and
not here
let me
for
leave.
you. Yeah.
I'm here primarily for your boots. Let me leave now.
Yeah.
As far as dancing goes, both in Spain and Canada, did it differ a lot from dancing in America, or was it not that much different?
No, not really. I mean, ballet is ballet, especially at UNCSA because I had Misha, who's Russian trained. So like we were Russian trained. It's not like I was at somewhere doing balancing. Then it would definitely be a bit of a culture shock switching. But yeah, ballet is ballet. In Spain, we were doing a lot of great rep, which I certainly miss doing. So that was something that was different because we were like focusing on Nacho's rep and his style, which has its own style, and it's all of his choreography is just gorgeous. And so when we did it, that's what we were there focusing on. And since coming back, a lot of the stuff I learned from the teachers there, since it was mostly contemporary, has definitely like been beneficial for me now. Just like really focusing on contemporary stuff primarily there. It's going from some like before I went there, I certainly was not contemporary, like had very much contemporary experience. I still don't have a lot of contemporary experience, but like that time when I was doing primarily contemporary definitely helped me. Definitely helps me now, and I like rely on what I learned then a lot now.
Nice. I'm also curious about like the performance experience you had in Spain and in Canada. I'm sure it's probably a little bit different from America because I'm sure the audience probably what's the word I'm trying to look for? Appreciates dance more.
I mean, Alberta is like country, so it's really not that different from the States. I don't think like I've never been many other places in Canada. Definitely haven't performed elsewhere in Canada, but it's pretty similar to the States, I feel like.
Oh, really?
In that I think we get like more funding about sort of. But, and then in Spain, I never really got to perform because we were there. Like during the time I was there, we were still like setting all of the rep. Now the program I'm with is performing a lot, and I love seeing all of their stuff, all of the promo shots from their performances. So yeah, I never really got to experience performing over there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But here it's pretty similar, I feel, to the States.
I have weird question that's kind of off topic, but what was like as a student, as a ballet student, you know, young Dylan, what was like something that you, when you either left home or went into the company that you weren't expecting as you were growing up?
So something that like once I left home or joined the company, I wasn't like expecting when I was thinking about these things, like imagining myself in it.
When you
okay.
like you were dreaming about your career, what were some things that you
Right.
didn't expect? Yeah.
Trying to think. I mean, I'm not sure I really knew what to expect at all when I was younger. Like, I never had the time to be like, oh wow, I wonder what it'll be like when I'm become a professional dancer. Because I feel like I skipped the like aspirational like childhood of like, oh, this is what I want to be when I grow up, and kind of went into the, oh, this is kind of what I'm gonna do now, and it's a make it or break it. Like when I was younger and wanted to be a professional soccer player, like I feel like I had those dreams and stuff. Not to say that when I was dancing I was like dreamless and a robot. But I mean it's kind of a bit what I expected as a ballet student. All my time during that at schools, like of being in a company, is just kind of more relaxed. And oh, actually, I have a good answer for this. Let's just ignore all the last stuff.
Okay.
So something that, wait, let me figure out the words. Okay, yeah. So something, I didn't dream of this necessarily when I was in ballet school, but it's something that when I joined the company is like kind of like, oh, is how much it doesn't feel that different necessarily. You know, it's still, we're going in and doing rehearsals, but it's not that different, I feel like, from a school rehearsal, especially like those higher level in a school, you know. Like it's still just a rehearsal, you know. I think I maybe thought there'd be some like major change, and there's like small changes, but it's still just a ballet rehearsal or a rehearsal for a ballet, you know. Yeah, I think I expected it maybe to be like really different, but it's not that different in my opinion. I prefer being in company rehearsals than I do in school rehearsals, obviously, but
Your shorts.
yeah. So it's not really that different, which is something that kind of surprised me.
Joseph, do you have an answer for that?
Yeah.
What was the question again?
When you were like a student, what was something that surprised you when you like entered either the next stage of your career or just like left home? What was something that surprised you?
It didn't surprise me, but it's just nice how much more artistic freedom I have with my dancing. I mean, I know I'm still being watched in classes and rehearsals, but you know, it doesn't feel like I'm being constantly monitored about what my technique has to be or what certain like artistic small little things have to be. Yeah, it's just nicer having more artistic freedom. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Would you agree that like the rehearsals don't feel like that different from when you're in school? Like
no,
it's less like
I agree.
uptight,
Yeah,
but it's still just a rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Is no one gonna ask me my answer?
You just said you agree.
Oh no, I was agreeing to the rehearsal. Okay, my answer. I'm kidding.
Emma, do you Do you have an answer for that same question you just asked me?
Something that surprised me is I feel like as a kid, a lot of people kind of like talked about how everyone knows everyone and that you kind of need to not try to burn any bridges or just, be
Oh,
nice to
right.
everyone.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
like, as now that I'm in the world, I'm realizing how connected it is. And it's kind of like you know someone that's like 1 degree separation of everyone that you've met throughout the entire like time you've been a dancer. So I think that's kind of cool and also
It's a little terrifying.
interesting. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Because if you don't like somebody, you gotta figure it out.
From personal
you know?
experience or
No, of course not.
okay.
Just be nice
Okay,
to
next
everybody.
question.
What was it like moving away from home at such an early age? Did you have any struggles when you moved away that early?
Mm, I mean, you definitely miss home. And like some people at UNCSA were from Winston-Salem or from North Carolina. And it's not like Texas is that different from North Carolina, but like there's like
Right.
little things, like some food,
Yeah.
One thing, like we went to a Tex-Mex restaurant in North Carolina once, and we were with somebody, and they go, "I'm gonna get the polo con arroz," and like most people in Texas know that's not how you say it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, huh. But I feel like UNCSA does like a mostly okay job of taking care of us. Some of the RAs definitely do better jobs than others. Shout out Via.
Yeah, love you Via.
But yeah, and we went home often enough, so wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And I was ready, I feel like, to leave when I did leave, because my sister was gone. I had been away to summer intensive for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and I like lived on my own and done just ballet, and I was like, wow, this is great. So yeah, it wasn't too terrible.
Yeah, I feel like probably UNCSA was like a nice transition for moving away because you're not like completely on your own, like having to cook your own meals and having to do all these things by yourself.
Yeah.
So after UNCSA, when you moved to Canada, was it a little rough having to transition from being kind of taken care of to having to completely take care of yourself, or
Not really. I mean, I
no?
enjoy cooking. The worst
Nice.
part about it for me, and this is something that you've been like today, I'm like, God, just like figuring out what I'm gonna eat for lunch all week.
Yeah.
It's just a vicious, endless cycle of needing to figure out what to eat for lunch.
Right. Yeah.
Dinner and breakfast are fine for some reason, but figuring out lunch is just the hardest thing for me. But yeah, it really wasn't. It's not too bad. I live downtown, so like I walk or ride my bike wherever I need to go. I can take public transit whenever I need to occasionally. Yeah, wasn't really. I didn't have too much of a hard time with it all.
Nice.
Every now and then, like something goes wrong in the apartment or something, and it's like, oh, I actually have to like call someone about that.
Yeah.
Something
Right.
like
Yeah.
that, and that kind of just sucks. But yeah,
Adulting.
yeah, like oh, I need to call the bank about this. Yeah, those are probably the worst parts.
Those are the biggest struggles, not with dance. It's the adult part outside of dance.
Yeah. That's why I like to spend most of my time at the studios. Because if I'm at the studio, then like I'm doing something productive and I can stay there and like work out, work on dance, stretch, do some recovery stuff. But then as soon as I come home, I have to like cook dinner, do some homework. So in my mind,
Reality.
yeah, if I'm at the studio, like nothing counts. So except when I get back and it's late and then I have to be back up at 9:30 and now I'm like, oh, I have all these things I have to do. But it's okay. We get it done. Figure it out.
And then while you were talking about struggles, were there any mentors that kind of helped you along the way, either through some of the like what to have for lunch struggles or
Not with the what to have for lunch struggles, probably. But definitely like I still talk to like my first ballet teachers, you know, and they support me and I'm like, hey, this happened. What are your thoughts? You know? And then here with Mr. Ram, who like helped facilitate my return to Alberta Ballet, he's definitely been a helpful mentor, as well as some of the other teachers here. Nisha mentors to a certain degree. He mostly influences, I feel like.
pokes you with sticks?
Yeah. But it still somehow is beneficial and it's still like still helps you out. So yeah, I think everywhere you go, you know, people always have something to share that you can every person you meet has something that you can learn from them.
Okay. Do you have like a favorite step in ballet that you like to do or show off?
My party trick as of late has been just a revoltade to arabesque.
Oh, nice.
Cannot imagine doing it to the left, but to my good side, or maybe my good side is the left. I can't imagine doing it to the bad side, but doing it to my good side, it's always fun. Except one time I did it and I like my plie, I jumped and landed, but I was really close to the floor and like went really deep into my plie,
Oh.
like deeper than like naturally, I think. And I was like, oh, I'm fine, but it's kind of like, oh, my knee kind of hurts.
So are you a turner or a jumper?
Definitely a jumper, probably. I can whip out the amount of turns required as long as it's under a certain number. But I feel like I'm much more consistent in my jumps. I feel like I'm getting better as a turner, you know. I like keep adding a pirouette, you know,
Okay.
like consistently, like being able to do it consistently.
What do you think is a said required number of turns that you should have?
I mean, in general, like just like doing core, all of that stuff. Like I feel like 3 pirouettes is probably the most you're gonna have to do with like other people at one time. Um, yeah, I mean, if you're doing soloist principal stuff, do as many as you can. But yeah, I think I can like right now. I feel like I'm consistently able to get like 4 to my good side.
Nice.
But yeah, more
What's
than
your
that.
good side?
Right. Same as most people. Yeah. Once I get past there, I kind of start closing my port de bras to try and like squeeze out a few more.
You turn Balanchine.
Yeah, the hands start to cross, which is something that is also something that's only started once I've gotten in the company. Because in school, I would never cross my hands in a pirouette. But in the company, I'm kind of like, oh, you know, maybe it's okay. I don't like something I dislike is when people can like, they're like, oh yeah, I can do 8, 9 pirouettes, but then like their first pirouette is like they're like hugging themselves. I'm like, really? Okay.
That's funny. What is like a piece of rep that you'd be more drawn to, either creating or doing, like a solo, a pas, or a group piece? Like, what would you be more interested in doing?
Um, maybe like a pa or a group piece. Solos are fun, but like you kind of like you don't have the like camaraderie of other people on stage, and like you can't feed off of other people's energy, which is always fun to dance with other people, and especially, you know, like if you're all like super in sync and you're like, dang guys, we did that. That was good. Yeah, like over the summer at Chautauqua, we did Rhapsodic dances by Sasha Janes, and it was a groups. It was like a big group, but individual. It was couples, and it was 6 couples doing the same pas all at once for a lot of the dance, and that was just like crazy getting it all to be together and look the same. And you know, I think we got it maybe like 50% of the time, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah.
Um,
Wait, I have a question. I have a question.
oh, okay.
Would you ever be interested in creating a piece?
No, I don't like choreography or choreographing.
That was
I
crazy.
feel
Okay.
like I wish I could, but I feel like I genuinely can't. And that's definitely not the right attitude. And I should be maybe working to like figure that out and then learn how to choreograph. But I just like I'm never like, wow, I feel inspired by like to make like I just don't know how I would set movements to music and it be good, you know?
Mhm.
Okay.
Anyways, I feel like that's just a me thing. I know plenty of people who are like, man, I have all these ideas for choreography. I don't. Like, if you need me to, I will, and I'll figure something out. But yeah, you know,
Yeah.
not everybody has to be a choreographer. I feel like if
Right.
everybody
Yeah.
was a choreographer, then yeah, not really.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I'm
wish I
not. I'm
was,
not.
but
I'm
yeah,
not. I'm not gonna call anyone out specifically, but I just feel like there's so much choreography being shoved out there, and it's all just about like it's
some of
like
it's
all
not
about
good.
yeah, it's all about quantity and not quality of the choreography. Like I
Yeah,
feel like people choreograph like 30-minute to hour-long pieces, and some of them that I've watched are just like not good.
yeah. And you know, if you like do that and it's not good, and you keep doing it and it's not good, then maybe stop, because somewhere out there somebody's doing it and it is good, and we
Hmm.
need to like create the space for the people who are doing good choreography
Right. Right.
to make their choreography, which is also why I am not a choreographer, because if I was a
You don't want
choreographer,
to take up
I'd just
service.
keep putting out bad choreography. I need to like let the good choreographers do choreography.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like as dancers, we have like a harsher eye towards things. Like for me, like a sometimes like if it's really technically good, I'm like, okay, that's impressive. But then after a while, I'm like, okay, cool. I know you can like, you know. But I feel like
Yeah.
it's sometimes also about what you can do with the technique to make it impressive. And so it's just there are some pieces where I'm just like I feel like I'm just watching the same thing over and over again for
Sure.
30
Yeah.
minutes. So, yeah.
You know, we can't all be Abby Lee.
Oh.
I cannot name one of her choreographies. But yeah, also there's like so much good choreography out there that doesn't get done, I feel like, because other choreography is being done. I don't know. Like, I also think there's a lot of good choreography that we should be like doing more.
Mhm.
We don't always have to have new stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Do you have a favorite piece of rep that you've performed?
The one I mentioned earlier, Rhapsodic Dances, was a lot of fun. And then Absolute Marathon. I've done one Balanchine, which was Ruby's, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, nice.
I did a piece last year that was choreographed by our artistic director on the school. That was like just a bunch of all boys students, and it was a lot of fun. I just like fun stuff. Yeah, if I have fun doing it, then it's good choreography in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What has been the most scariest / most embarrassing experience you've had on stage or in rehearsal?
So a scary moment would be, and it's not like that scary, but it was just kind of like was during our production of Grimm earlier this season. I danced one role with a mask, and it was a dog mask that had like this nose that extended out, and it like kind of sat uncomfortably on your face. And when you're doing pirouettes, it would kind of move around. So there's a couple times when like I just couldn't see, and I was like, I don't know where I am, so I was a bit scared. And also in that production, there was like 3 guys who had to go underneath a giant skirt of the godmother, because it was Grimm, so it was based on like all these different fairy tales, and so we were like underneath, like pushing the skirt and like moving it along, so it looks like it's like there's action underneath the shirt. That sounds so wrong. Whoa, go back.
Oh, we're leaving that in.
No. So the scene had the godmother like coming out on somebody's shoulders and a giant skirt, and then there was crows underneath. So we had to like push the skirt and like move it along the floor as we went. But we couldn't see anything, and it was super hot. It was all black, and we had masks on. So that was another moment of like, man, I hope this is right, because I don't know where I am. Yeah, and then a funny moment would be one time it was during the summer, and the piece with a bunch of different couples. We had one press lift over our heads, and we were all like kind of having trouble with it. And so I got in it, and we had to lift our partners, and then walk to a new position in not that much time. And so I get the lift, and then I'm walking, and I can only see like my partner's legs are like hanging in front of me. So I'm walking to the new spot, hoping I don't hit anybody. But I'm just seeing like people like fall all around me, like go up into the lift and like start to come down, and like there's girls on guys' shoulders walking to the next spot. And I like I was holding my breath because I have bad technique. And then I like let all of my breath go, and I was like, poof, because I started to laugh because it was like walking through like a battlefield of people just like going to the ground and like being carried away. So it was pretty funny, and we all started laughing. Also during that piece, there is a part where the girls would jeté into our arms, and we'd catch them, and then they would like go from the jeté to the arabesque. And so we're supposed to catch their back leg and their torso, for like a fish hold an arabesque type thing. But I catch her front leg and her torso, because I'm like, oh, she fletes. She does not. And so I like caught her and started to go, and I was like, wait, this is wrong. And then we all started to laugh. And because also right before that, I had gone to one of the other guys, and I go, back leg, right? And we're like, back leg, right? Okay, good. And I go and I catch the front leg, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that piece had a lot of comical moments during rehearsals. There's also another time where we were doing like a partnered single tour, and I got clocked across the nose, and I was like, I started to walk away. I was like, "Ugh, ouch!" And I was expecting the director to pause the music and like be like, "Oh, Dylan, are you okay?" But I'm just like, I walk away, grab my nose, and the music keeps going. And I'm like, "Oh shit, we have to keep dancing." So yeah, that was pretty fun.
Those are pretty good. Those are pretty good.
What about y'all?
Mm. I have to think. Go ahead, Joseph.
Not any that I can think of at the top of my head.
I'll have
I
all this
have
time to think.
I have one that is very embarrassing, but it's not like that embarrassing looking back on it because I still don't know to this day what I was doing wrong to get yelled at in front of the whole ballet program at UNCSA. But we were in a Nutcracker rehearsal, and Mrs. Martin loved being very hard on me, and as she does. And so she was in charge of flowers, and I didn't even we were doing the bow, and Ilya was like, okay, go up on 5-7, 5-6-7. And so I was like, okay. So I went up on 5-6-7. And then so did everyone behind me. I was looking in the mirror. I know for a fact everyone did it at the exact same time as me. And Miss Martin goes, Emma, that is wrong. You go up on 6-7. And I'm like, wait, what? And so then I'm just like, for like 3 times, we keep doing this over and over again. And so then on the third time, I went on like 5-6-7. And then she was like, finally, you did it right. And then after all of the rehearsal, everyone was like, I'm going to be honest, I'm glad you were the one getting yelled at because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, we were just following you. I was like, great.
I remember that rehearsal.
Yeah. It was like the
Yeah.
first full call Nutcracker rehearsal.
Studio
Yeah. But I love Miss Martin, so this is nothing towards her. She was like a great teacher, so. Okay, anyway.
Anything, Joseph?
Yeah, I was just waiting to see if Joseph wanted to answer.
No, I still can't think of any.
Okay. So what kind of like kept you going into dance, like every single day showing up for yourself? And then is that still to this day something that keeps you going?
Yeah, just striving to get better each day. Knowing that I'm never where I want to be completely, is something that like keeps motivating me to like go back in, work on that thing, stay late, do some extra. Because I want to dance, and so I want to be one of those people that a director can be like, oh yeah, Dylan can do that. Like, I want to be one of those people that isn't like, that is just like a kind of, yeah, they're going to be able to do it, no problem. Like, they'll be ready.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just like something that makes me keep going back is can always turn out more, always get the like higher. There's always something to do. So those type of things motivate me to keep going each day.
Mm.
Does it ever burn you out? I feel like that's also something that.
A little bit. Like recently, not much, but in high school definitely had some burnout. Like I was like, man, maybe I should just not do ballet. I'm not having fun necessarily. Um, but I feel like it's better now not being in school because I am dancing every day and it's not like in school and sometimes you go in and you dance, but it's all academic the entire day and you don't feel like sometimes like academic doesn't feel good. You're not moving, you're not Like it's not expressive. There's no artistry to it sometimes. And that for me was the thing that would burn me out the most, was when it wasn't fun. Not yeah. Sometimes it can be, it's beneficial, and sometimes you're like, oh, I'm enjoying this. But sometimes it's also like, I'm doing this because it's gonna help me get better, but I'm not necessarily having fun. Yeah. I do it because it's fun.
Nice.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm gonna move on to the next question. Before you became a professional, were you scared that you weren't ever gonna make it in the dance world?
Yeah, I think everybody kind of has. There's always like the doubt. And even now, I'm still like, oh, I need to make sure that I keep training and keep making sure that I keep myself up to the standard, and keep myself healthy, because everything can be going well and then it can all like stop one day, I feel like.
Right.
So yeah.
What do you think it takes to be successful? Like, what do you think that helped you, what you were doing to get into the professional company, and what helps you keep being successful to this day?
Just staying committed and having a personal, like, you can't rely on people to keep you disciplined all the time. So you gotta have like an internal, like, sense of discipline and being like, these are what I gotta do to get where I want to be. And staying motivated, and also not being a robot, like, and still enjoying what you're doing and not doing it because you're like programmed to or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I think discipline has a lot to do with it. And then also being able to find the balance of being in dance class and doing all of that, but it's still being a human and not being just a bunhead or a dance belt. That's why I like to call Guy bunheads. Call them dance belts.
I like that. I'm gonna start using that term now.
I feel like it's a good one.
You kind of talked about like being a human outside of the studio. What do you do to like rejuvenate? Like, what are some hobbies and passions you have outside of dance?
Outside of dance, I don't know, just relaxing, and it's always nice to go outside every now and then, touch some grass. Calgary's a really beautiful city and like has a lot of nature nearby and stuff, so that's something that I'm grateful to have. But then, I like watching football on the weekends and everything. So you don't like watching football either?
Not your team.
Yeah. Yeah, just having things that like, no, just having things that like aren't dance are nice.
Yeah.
And also being able to just like have a day to rot or something, But also I found myself enjoying like having things to do on Sunday, because sometimes I feel like I just rot and then I like don't really feel that great going into Monday. But if I'm like, oh, I went to the grocery store, or I went to this store to like pick something up, then did my laundry, cooked a meal, it's nice to like stay doing something on the days off, instead of just like scrolling on my phone. But yeah.
Calling me should probably your favorite activity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes your mom texts me and it's like, hey, you haven't called Emma in a while. Here's $20.
You're not supposed to tell people about that, Dylan. What the heck?
Hopefully Chris is not too upset.
So I understand that you're on a visa right now, right?
Yeah.
Which means you can't take on any other part-time jobs.
No. Yeah, with my work visa, I can't take on any part-time jobs. With my student visa, I could have
Hmm.
for, I think it was like 20 hours or something. But yeah, because I have a pretty like level 1 work visa, it's like my first visa, first time having it. They only let you work the one job that you're there to do. I think there's definitely other work visas that you can, or if I had PR or something, I could, but yeah, with just the one.
Gotcha.
And it'd be nice because it would be interesting to like be able to teach at the school or a local studio,
Right. Yeah.
something like that. But
So do you
I
have any
choreograph for
other?
them.
Right. Yeah. So do you have any other obligations outside of your job at Alberta Ballet that you have to focus on?
I have school. I'm getting a degree through Oregon State
Oh,
Speed
nice.
Campus. So I have to respond to my discussion post and pretend that I'm responding to a classmate with meaningful insight,
3 to 5
But
sentences or more.
yeah, I enjoy the like learning part of my classes, but man, responding to discussion posts, it seems like a waste to me. Writing a discussion post, sure, I get the learning benefit of it, 100%. But sometimes some of these people are just like not to like be rude, but I'm like, did you read the assignment? Like, how am I supposed to respond to this? Because it's like, oh, reply with like 2 points about this and then 2 points about that. And they respond with like just 1 point for all of it. And they talk about like one thing. And I'm like, now I have nothing to respond to. Also, when they're all the same, they're like, it's like, is like unreasonable. It's like, it's okay, wait. So the discussion post is like,
This
do you
is real
think
life
like
experience. We're getting into real life experience now.
do you think mismanagement of forests is bad, or like should it all be used for profit? We're in this class for managing natural resources. Nobody's going to be like, I think we should just put profit over nature 100% of the time. So we all are like, no, we should like we should responsibly manage these forests or whatever. And that's what everybody in the class says. And then I have to go in and respond to 2 people about the same thing and make my response somehow different from the last one. It's just so annoying. I hate a discussion post.
Thank you for sharing that. What's your major?
Natural resource management. Yeah.
Nice.
So lots of acorns and whatnot.
Fish.
Fish. Read a whole book about salmon last year.
Nice.
Nice.
So I'm assuming after you're done dancing, you'll probably do something with that degree.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Like, I definitely want to have the option. But also, like, not to sound like a dance bout, but like,
I love that.
I often think about it. I'm like, man, what do I want to do like when I can't stop dancing? And like ballet and dance is like the only thing. I'm 21, so it's not like I've had a long life, but it's the only thing in my life that like I've kept wanting to come back to and like wake up every day and I'm like, yes, I want to do this, or like feel really passionate about it, and feel like it's something that is like it's like it's really expressive, it's an art form, and I it's something really important to me. So like I'm like, maybe I will stay in dance after I finish my professional career. But sometimes, it's also good to have something else.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe you can combine natural resource management and dance.
You never know. If trees
somehow.
learn to dance,
Become a choreographer.
Yeah, on trees or something. See, that's the thing. Like, I love dance and like love being in the studio every day and spending my entire time in the studio, but I'm not gonna choreograph. Also, I don't want to teach like kids who are like not there and committed to learn, about
Yeah.
ballet. Like if they're
Right.
there because it's like an after school like obligation or they don't like it, like I don't want to deal with that. That's
Yeah,
just
it's hard. It's
glorified
hard.
babysitting. I hear from my friends who teach at the school and they're like, yeah, I cleaned up pee like 3 times in an hour and a half. And I'm
See,
like,
I don't know why
I
I'm shocked
don't
I've
want to
done
do
that
that.
before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't even teach. I work at the front desk, and I still
Yeah.
like. I think this year I've cleaned up pee twice.
It's not too bad.
Yeah,
It's January.
but it's like, well, this season. Sorry, let me like specify this season.
Well, yeah.
If there was one thing that you could change about the dance world, what would be something you would change?
I have to think about this one. I kind of remember what I said last time, but I don't remember fully.
You can change your answer.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Something I would change about the dance world is I think there's a lot to change within the dance world itself, but something that I think is really important to change is the perspective, like an outside perspective on the dance world and it being like super elitist or whatnot, which, having super expensive tickets doesn't help. And like there's a lot of programs that are like, oh, if you're under this age, you get cheap tickets, which I think is definitely helpful. But yeah, I think changing the perspective on it being elitist would be something that would definitely be good. Not because I think like ballet isn't something that should be like held in a regard of like being like regal and like French aristocratic. Because I think there's like definitely some beauty to that for certain ballets. Of course, like, Balanchine isn't necessarily aristocratic or something. Like, what is it? Western Symphony is not French aristocrats, but
Right.
there are some that are like that, but I think everybody should get to experience that. Everybody should get to experience what like Louis the 14th was experiencing when he went to the ballet. What the Queen experienced when she went to see the Royal Ballet. It should just be. I think ballet should just be more accessible to everybody. Like we should have studios. Somebody out there is going to be cleaning up pee. I don't want to be the person, but like, having ballet for kids is something that's good. And just making it accessible to everybody. I think Alberta does a pretty good job. Like they have a lot of outreach classes in smaller towns in Alberta. When I was in the school, I did an outreach performance for newcomers to Canada. Just making it more accessible so that way the perception of it isn't, oh, it's only for this people, but the perception is, oh, I am those people, So, and that's just ballet. There's obviously like so many forms of dance that are more like grassroots, I feel like. And just also amplifying those grassroots forms of dance. So, yeah.
I always find it funny when ballets looked upon as like elitist because most dancers get paid like poverty level wages.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's funny when they're like, you have to be rich to go to the ballet. It's like, no, because most of the dancers that are there are not rich.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then like, if you think, like, because ballet has like historically been something for the rich, if we can get more people to go, like, you kind of like get to feel like, you get to feel fancy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
Nice. If you could give your younger self or any young dancer advice, what would it be?
I mean, if I could give my younger self advice, it'd be to start dance sooner. I have no regrets about the way I like got into dance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that doing soccer before, especially playing goalie, has helped me in dance, and like obviously like with the acting and musical theater and everything has helped me. But you know, it might have been nice to be able to like I've been dancing since I was 11, you know. I don't know if I would necessarily be better than I am now, but I think I would. So um and then just for like people in general, you know, it's gonna suck so much of the time, but you just gotta, if it's like really what you want to do, you know, you can do it. And the only thing, like, it's not the only thing standing in your way, but one of the biggest things standing in your way is just yourself, and you know, making sure that you put yourself in the right circumstances, like personally, and like right circumstances with your like outlook on it,
Mm-hmm.
and your attitude towards it. Yeah, just having a good attitude and motivated, having the internal discipline and not relying on other people for motivation and discipline, because you can't rely on other people for that stuff.
That was good. That's nice. Pat on the back for that one. Now you kind of mentioned that like younger Dylan was a goalie. What would do you think you would still be doing soccer if you never became a ballet dancer?
Like definitely casually. You know, I'm not super tall, so I probably wouldn't have made it professionally as a goalie. But I would definitely do it more than I do now, which is none, which I wish I could do more. Yeah, part of me misses that, like, the fearlessness I had playing goalie and just like throwing my body at the people's feet and being kicked and whatnot. Which isn't something I've lost. It's just now changed to, yeah, I'll try that jump, or sure, yeah. You know, you still have to, I feel like there's still fearlessness that you need in ballet. Yeah, I mean, I miss soccer sometimes, but I definitely would wish I could play it more. I don't know if I answered the question. I'm just gonna yap.
I think you got the message across.
Yeah, that was good. Do you have any more questions, Joseph?
No, I think that's all the questions. So, do you wanna close this off, Emma?
Well, thank you so much, Dylan, for joining us for this episode. We hope you enjoyed your interview.
I did. Thank y'all for having me again after I messed up the downloading of the last one.
No, you're good. You're good. We understand. We're just not going to shut the computer this time. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you for the next one.
Oh, I have one last question, actually.
Oh.
If you could call out anyone that we should interview for the next episode or a few episodes later, who would it be?
Carl Pill. He's gonna have some pretty good stuff to say, I feel like.
Okay.
I don't know anybody as motivated as Carl, I feel like. So, yeah. And I feel like he has a really good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the suggestion. We'll definitely reach out to Carl at some point.
Nice. Well, thank you.
Thank y'all.